Have you ever watched a movie or video that made you emotional? If you have, then you wouldn't be the first. And if you haven't, you're lying. Today, I will show you how editing can be used to evoke emotions and feelings in an audience. Not only have I done extensive research on this topic, but I'm also by definition a professional video editor. First, I'm going to go over cutting and rhythm. Then I'm going to go over color and music. And then last, I'm going to go over how all of them actually work. First, I want to look at cuts and rhythm. Cutting and rhythm are used to pace movies and create tension. First, I want to mention rhythm and how it's used. Anyone who's watched an edit or montage online can understand that when jump cuts are matched with music cues such as beat drops or beat switches, it makes you subconsciously get a sort of satisfaction. This is because humans are hardwired to find synchronization and patterns rewarding. It's the same reason we tap our feet to music. It's not only the patterns that we find rewarding though. Beat drops are a very effective way of creating and releasing tension. It gives off dopamine the same way that plot twists do in movies. Additionally, when you add a jump cut, the suddenness of both the jump cut and the beat drop fuse together and create a potent sensory hit that humans find amusing or satisfactory. Next, I'm going to go over how timing controls tension. The build-up and release of tension is controlled by the pace of any given scene. For example, in the scene from Stranger Things season 4 where Max is like floating in the air and it's all like ambient and stuff and everybody's crowding around her, the scene is shot in like slow motion clips and with long takes in order to like create tension and then release it all at once. On the other hand, horror movies use timing the most like effectively and differently. Like in they could use like long cuts to create tension, like in the movie The Quiet Place, or they could use like short, quick cuts and jump scares, like in It, to create fear. Next, I'll go over how editors use timing unexpectedly. When cuts are slightly offbeat, it can create a feeling of unease or dissatisfaction, directly in contrast to how synchronization creates this feeling of satisfaction. An example of this is in Uncut Gems. This film it uses that to like create like a heart attack feeling throughout the entire film. And then when a scene alternates between fast and slow paced, it could that could be used to like keep the viewer on their feet or like in a different perspective. You can see that in the truck flip scene in The Dark Knight. Now that I went over rhythm and cutting, let's talk about other major tool editors use, which is color and music. First, I'll explain the different emotions that colors evoke. Warm colors, such as like oranges and yellows, evoke energy and happiness, and then red can also evoke romantic feelings. Cool tones like blue and gray are used to evoke like sadness, calmness, isolation. You can see that in the movie The Batman. It's used as a way to describe Bruce's feeling of like isolation and depression. And then you can also use color to separate two opposing forces. Notably in Star Wars, it's obvious that the Jedi are used like blue and green, and then the Sith are used with red. Okay. Next, I'll explain the effect music has on emotions. According to Exploring the Emotions of Music Instruments by Alice Byford, instruments like cello, violin, and soft piano are used to create sadness, whereas electric guitar and brass are used to create happiness. That's why you hear a lot of people listening to like rock and roll in the gym. And the actual the feeling or like the composition of the music in contrast to like the tone of the music are able to tap into the autonomic nervous system, the part of your brain that controls your breathing and heart rate, so it can actually affect your mood like that. Finally, when music and color are combined, the emotions are amplified. You could see this in La La Land with the use of like opposing pink and blue colors in contrast to the jazz music. It creates like a dreamy like feeling and strong romantic feelings. And then you can also do this with music. So like horror movies use cold tones with the colors with like ambient or eerie music in order to create fear. Now that I've went over the tools editors use to evoke emotions, let's talk about why they do so actually. Cues are able to trigger emotional memories. So According to the American Psychological Association, sad music paired with dim visuals are able to bring up like actual emotions that you felt in the past. So you start remembering old like times that you don't want to remember. And then also by pairing certain filters with certain sounds, editors are able to create are able to emulate feelings that everybody shares. That's like when you like watch like a nostalgic video on TikTok or something, like everybody feels the same way when they watch that video. It's like designed to do so. The way editors are able to associate emotions makes the editing feel more personal. It makes it less of something that you're currently watching and more so of something that you're like remembering from the past. Contrasting senses trigger emotions. So like loud noises and quiet scenes causes fear. That's just like a jump scare, right? Or like it like opens up the fight or flight response in your brain. And then cutting music is able to convey fear or confusion in characters. This is like very well seen in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. He uses like